I'm Emmanuel, and welcome to my workbench, and welcome to another Monday coin roll hunt. Today, I am going back to the dimes in the hopes of continuing on last week's success, as well as the toonies. So let's get right into it and start with the dimes. Sorry for the late publication of the video. I usually publish my videos for 8 o'clock, but I've been so busy. I am training almost 6 days a week. So a little bit of personal story here. I am a second degree black belt in Shotokan karate, and I am training to see if I can qualify for the Canadian national team in my age category, naturally. And that will be in mid-April in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And so I've been training 6 days a week. And so I haven't had much time to do a lot, so I'm trying to keep these videos short. So just a little update there. If I do make Team Canada, then I will qualify to go to Worlds, which the location has been moved. Originally, it was scheduled to be in August in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. But unfortunately, due to the war, the US-Iran war in the Gulf there, it is no longer deemed safe. So they're going to be moving the location and most likely the time. If I was to guess, I would be saying it'll be moved to October in Germany, because the World Karate Union organization that runs this world tournament is based in Germany, and they do have sites in Germany where they have held this tournament before. This will be my first time joining the Canadian national team, and as well, first time going to Worlds. So fingers crossed that I make the cut. Now, back to some serious stuff here, and let's get started right away with these dimes and see if I can hit silver. Now, the dimes, of course, that we're looking for are over here. Anything before 1968, as you can see over here, has silver. 67 and earlier is definitely silver. 1968 has a 50-50... has a chance of being silver, 50% silver, but most of them that you'll see are nickel. So these are the ones that we're going to be looking for. Of course, the key date being the 1970 dime. So let's go ahead. We have an older crowned portrait on the ender here. There we go. Let's look at the edges here. I don't see anything jumping out at me. So let's see what we can find. All right. Let's hope these rolls are a collection dump, because all of these dimes are older dimes. Most of them are nickel. There's a few modern ones in here. I think there's a 2015 over here, 2001, but everything else, 2007. Anyways, everything else seems to be of the older generation. So let's see what we have. Now, first one we have here is a 1968, where, as you see on the board down here, there is a chance that this is silver. Looking at it now, I see that it is probably not silver. But 1968, interestingly enough, there are two varieties to look for the 68s. Well, there's two varieties in the nickel, and there's two varieties in the silver, and that is were these guys made in the United States? And you have to look at the edge, and you can see here on this edge that these are quite sharp and deep if I put the angle like this. So this one here was produced in Philadelphia. Which is an interesting story, because the Canada by law is not allowed to produce coins outside of Canada. So here's a 1969. So how did they get the contract outside for Philadelphia? They were retooling. The mint to produce the nickel coins, and so some of these coins, as you see, were produced outside. This is the 1969. I always check the 1969s because there were some rare ones. Here's another one that were issued in silver, and I will most likely never find one because there's only ever been a handful that have ever been found in the silver. I also looked for the large date. Those were both small date varieties. The large date would be a good example of a large date. Let me find the 1968 and let's get that 1969 back. Let me show you the difference. So if the 1969, you can see that the font changed in 1969, but if the font of the 1969 looks like the 1968 font, so taller numbers, then that is the large date variety, and so that's the one to look for. I have never found one. They are quite rare, but that is what you need to look for. Here is a 2001 year of the volunteer. On this one, they put the obverse has the date as well as the denomination, and on the back we have a little image of, I guess, a sun over here, and we have some volunteers up there for the International Year of the Volunteer. Here is another one. There is no error on this coin. There's no date on the front because this is the Queen's Golden Jubilee, 1952 to 2002, with the plated composition marked down below. And the last one that I have here is a third small date 1969 that I'm going to check, and it is magnetic. I would be ecstatic if it was silver, but hey, that's something that, that it would probably make the news, in fact, if I found one, because they are so rare. Roll number 2. Let's look at the date on this one. This one is a modern 2014, so let's hope for some oldies in here, just like the other one. Edge check. I don't see anything, so let's go get to it. Another commemorative here. This is the double dated 100th anniversary of the Blue Nose. Somebody put a comment. They thought this was just a generic ship, but in fact this is a historical Canadian ship, the Blue Nose. There are schooner races that are held every year, and what's famous about the Blue Nose is let me see if I can get the story straight here. The Blue Nose was a traditional old-fashioned ship, and it was racing against ships with modern technology. These are sailing ships, so they don't have motors, so they all rely on the wind. And despite being an older ship, it still managed to win the race. And so that went down in history. I don't recall if this boat was had an undefeated record. I don't know what was special about it, but ever since, well, I guess ever since the 40s, possibly, or even the 30s, when they changed the design, this boat has, this ship has been on the Canadian dime. I would say that probably most people in Canada of the younger generation don't know much about this ship. The reason why I know it is because here in Canada, they used to have these heritage moments on TV as a commercial where they would feature a little tidbits of Canadian history, and that was one of the little short episodes that they did was on the Blue Nose schooner. All right, roll 4, I should say. Another commemorative to look at. This is the 125th anniversary of Canada, 1867 to 1992. Double date on the front of the coin, on the reverse, I should say. And of course, crowned Elizabeth II on the obverse. That was roll 3. This is roll 4. The 1970s dime on the ender. This looks like a roll of older dimes. Let's see if we have something special in here. Lots of dimes in the 70s, but no finds, nothing special. I did see 1980, is it on here? It isn't here, but 1980 has a variety called the narrow zero and the wide zero for the zero on the date. And I thought I had found one, but looking closer at it, I compared it to another one. There's three 1980s in there, but it looked the same. So let's go into roll number 5. Edge check, nothing silvery jumps out, so let's get into this. All right, we have another 1969, which is the narrow date, of course, and or the small date, and it is also magnetic, so nothing worth keeping. Moving on to roll 6, another old ender. We have the Queen with Queen Elizabeth with a tiara. No Americans either so far, which is odd, making me think that this is probably a collection dump. These really look older. I don't see anything silvery jumping out at me, but my eyes have been fooled in the past. All right, so we have another 1968 to check for silver. It is not silver. And yet another 1968, and it is not silver. We have another 1968. It is not silver. And I think this is a 69. It is the small date. It is also not silver. A lot of 1970s in that roll. I was hoping for some silver. Let's see. This one is a 2004 ender, a modern coin. Will we have silver in the in the bundle? This is roll 7. Nothing in roll 7. Not a single American either. Let's go to roll 8. That also has a modern ender. There we go. Made a mess of that. Nothing in here so far that jumps out at the eye. Let's see if we find anything worth mentioning. All right, roll 8, no finds. Second last roll, roll 9, another modern ender on this one. I made a mess of this one as well. I don't really see anything here, so let's see if there's anything that I might have missed. Nothing in roll 9. Now, the only other commemoratives I think that we haven't seen for the dimes, because the dimes don't have a lot of commemoratives, would be the commemorative 100th anniversary of the Blue Nose, the colorized and uncolorized version of the 2021. Let's see if these guys will pour out nicely. There we go. Edge check. Nothing is jumping out at me. And that is that. No hits at all. No fines for the dimes. Let's go for the Toonies. Our hope with the Toonies is that we find some colorized coins and no fakes. Canada has fake Toonies out there. Definitely something that is always a disappointment to find. So let's see what we can find in here. All right, roll one, we have our first colorized find. We have the 50th anniversary of the hockey series against the Soviet Union. This is a 2022, and it goes on the board. What else do we have here? We have a commemorative here, and this is the Golden Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth with the double date at the bottom, 1952 to 2002. And there is a variety where there is a die chip, a little dot, right between the legs of the letter H here. This one doesn't have it. We have another keeper here. This is the non-colorized version of the D-Day 2019 Remembrance Toonie. The colorized version has the helmet in the front here, colorized in military green, which is a cool find. I believe there's 1 million minted of these, but I might be wrong. I don't know what year they started to do the 1 million minted for the non-colorized and the 2 million minted for the colorized, but that one is definitely a find. And another variety here, this is the 2006, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Toonie, and so we have a polar bear looking up at the northern lights. Very cool. Roll two. Three more Toonies to look at here. This one is quite corroded, but it is the 200th anniversary of the birth of Sir John A. Macdonald, our Canada's first Prime Minister. Very corroded. Here is the year 2000 Knowledge Toonie. This is the one that has the mama polar bear with the two little polar bears. And there are three die chip varieties, one with a die chip under the 0 over here, one with a die chip under the D, and one with a die chip under the S, but this one does not have any of those die chips. And finally, the 400th anniversary of the foundation of the city of Quebec City, 1608 to 2008. Very, very cool. Roll three. Three more to look at over here. We have, this is a 2010. Now 2010, there's the extra serration, there's the fewer serrations. 2019 has extra serrations, 2010 has fewer serrations. So I'm gonna have to compare this with a similar one. So this is the 2008, a couple of years before. So we wanna see if this is the fewer serrations version. And if you line up the serrations, let me find a better spot here. There we go. you can see that the 2010 at the top has 2 fewer serrations. So this is the variety to look for in 2010. There's also a variety that you want to look at the ice flows, and you can see that there's little lines showing the water waves, and there's the no ice variety, or the no water lines variety. Here is another commemorative. This is the year 2000, celebrating the creation of the territory of Nunavut in 1999. I said 2000. This is a very corroded 2017 Vimy Ridge. Vimy Ridge is a memorial in France for fallen Canadian soldiers. But this one is not worth keeping. Roll 4. Nothing special on the ender. All right, one more commemorative to look at, and this is the 2016 Battle for the Atlantic. Canadian Merchant Marines. Got an anti-aircraft gun there on a ship. Very cool. Roll 5. All right, 2 more to look at. We have a 2019 here, and this is the one that we want to look for extra serrations. So I have a 2025 here, and what we have to look at is, does it have more serrations than a 2025? And it does not, so this is not one worth keeping. And we have a 1 million minted uncolorized 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. This design copied the vehicles of the 1940s. Lots of corrosion on this one, but worth keeping nonetheless at 1 million minted. Roll 6. Nothing in roll 6. Roll 7. All right. I thought I would bring you back a better example of that Vimy Ridge. The other one was quite corroded, but this is what it looks like. We got 2 soldiers on either side of the coin. The memorial up in the center here. Interesting fact, Vimy Ridge, even though it is in France, is considered Canadian soil. Very cool. And we have a 2019 here. Let's see if it's the extra serrations. I have a 2018 to compare it with. And it is not. All right. Moving on to roll number 8. Nothing in roll 8. Roll 9. One colorized only so far, but a couple of low mintage coins as well. No fakes, which is always good. All right, we have another corroded one. This is Canada's 150th anniversary. It's supposed to show the Northern Lights. There's two versions of this coin, one with colorized glow-in-the-dark enameling, and this one here, which is really corroded, really badly corroded, in fact, unfortunately. And I have another 2010 that I'm going to compare with a 2009 here, and we can see that this one also has less serrations. I am going to have to double check now. The fact that I found two, this one does have all of the water there in the ice flows. The fact that I found two makes me doubt. I'm going to have to double check here offline to see if I'm looking at the right thing. And I am back, and I double checked, and I am correct. It is the one with less serrations, and so I did find two, which is quite unusual. I don't get a lot of 2010s in my hunts, and the fact that I found two of the 2010s, in fact, the only 2010s I found are both the lower serrations, is unusual, but it is a cool find nonetheless. I had to double and triple check. Happy to have found those. Last roll, roll 10. And roll 10, that is the end of it. Nothing in roll 10 worth showing or finding or keeping. Well, not as spectacular as the last hunt where we had two silver coins, two silver dimes, which was awesome. But we did find two 1 million minted coins. We have the uncolorized 2019 D-Day and the uncolorized 2020 V Toonie, as well as a 2 million minted 50th anniversary of the Canadian Hockey Series against the Soviet Union. Well, the giveaway for this month is this solemn Toonie. And all you have to do to have a chance at winning this is to leave a comment down below. And early next month in April, I will draw the name of a lucky winner. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, though it came out late. If you did, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And click on my logo over here to subscribe. Here is a playlist of dime hunts, and here is a playlist of Toonie hunts. Until next time, thanks for watching.